ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all your sports books and track all your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You could also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as it's the best account on the platform. Head to App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire and download the app.
Check this out, we got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
One, two, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, there we go. Go back here. I'm gonna make sure I can hear everyone. Default headphones. All right, I'm gonna bring Scotty in now, so make sure I can hear him. I got Scotty here. Okay, apologies, guys. Where I was gonna start very simply is you do all the work, you do all the analysis. And the first play is a pick six. Oregon then 14-play drive matches it. Here comes Indiana, comes down 10-plus play drive. It's 14-7. Well, then when Dante Moore then fumbles eventually inside the 10, and then there's the turnovers, which is a part of the game. My point is he gifted the Hoosiers 21 points. It's a wrap. Scotty, there's been two epic teams, I'd say, growing up. The last one, I think that we can both agree, was Joe Burrow and that LSU team that was just a wagon. And then going back to the late 90s, some people compare that Miami team as the greatest team of all. But I'll just say this Indiana team is an absolute wagon.
Well, the one thing about this team is that they I I don't think they care what the score is. I mean, they're just going to just keep playing and doing what they do, and whatever. I mean, they don't even look at the scoreboard probably. Um, it's some of those teams, and if you remember back and watched what Oregon did against James Madison, similar kind of thing. They got off to a great start, had a big lead, but they didn't have the step on your throat kind of thing, and let them back in the game. Actually, even let James Madison cover on the spread. But when you think about what Indiana does, Indiana doesn't allow any of that. They don't seem to care about any of that stuff. It's and this kind of goes back to sort of what I was thinking about, like when Indiana played Ohio State. I don't think either one of those two teams cared about that game. That was 13-10. I mean, how many times have you seen Indiana not score a whole bunch of points in a football game? So I think when you start to think about what Indiana's capable of and where they are, it's amazing because it's college football, but at the same time that it's college football, the quarterback's name because he's the Heisman Trophy winner and that kind of stuff. The head coach because he's all over the place. You don't know any of the defensive linemen's names. You don't know the linebackers' names. You don't know you don't know any of the other players' names other than those guys. And the reality becomes is they're really good players and they're not 5-star recruits that went and got a whole bunch of money for all that stuff. They're just great kids that play hard and they're in a good system. And I guess going forward, that's going to be something that's out of my realm as to trying to figure out whether they're actually great players or there's a great system and these kids were really good to fit that system. And in college football, they're really good. So I don't know the answers to those questions. I don't really care because the truth of the matter is that's a different sport. The NFL is a different sport than college football. Similarly, college basketball is different than the NBA. So as you start to really look to what we're doing, we're handicapping college football games and we're betting college football games. So is Mendoza going to be a great NFL quarterback? I don't care until I have to go bet him in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like, what the hell? So my point being basically is that I think they're a great college football team. I think to a certain degree they've been underestimated the whole time. You can't go give them 21, 28 points, whatever it is, off turnovers and stuff. And I get it, pick six in the first play. And I was surprised, to be honest, I was surprised that Oregon went down and drove the ball on them and scored after that as a rebound because all you hear is how great Dante Moore is. And the truth of the matter is Dante Moore played like crap. And pick six, fumble, those kinds of plays, and I get it. There's kind of fluky stuff too, to a certain degree. He's passing and the ball gets knocked out of his hand by his running back and stuff like that. But the reality of it is you didn't see Mendoza do that. And he threw yardage wise. You can sit here and go, this is an even game. One team had 400 yards. The other team had 400 yards or whatever it is. One team ran the ball much better. But when you break it down and look at it another way, when you look at it from a perspective of EPA and, what green and purple, it's all green for Indiana and it's not purple for Oregon. It's white. So it's average. So I think as you start to look at things and you really start to break down games, it's stuff happens. If it's a baseball game and your pitcher goes out and gives up 5 runs in the first inning, you're not going to win probably. And that's and maybe he gave up the 5 runs because there was 3 errors and a homer or something. It's just what happens, and some teams and you got to give them credit for this. And I talked about it a little bit in the handicaps. Some teams create havoc and some teams don't. And the teams that create havoc put themselves in positions to have this kind of stuff happen for them. And then the other teams that don't generate havoc don't have that. So I think that's part of the characteristic of a football team. The actual here, I had it. I don't know if I still have it up. I don't have it up. I can get it. What I thought was interesting was Oregon. They had, in terms of havoc plays created, they made 7. That's a lot. That's not a small amount. 7 havoc plays is a lot. But the reality is Indiana had 14. Doubled that. Indiana had 11 tackles for loss. They had and only 6 sacks, but 11 tackles for loss, 3 sacks, passes broken up, and when they had an opportunity to intercept, they didn't fumble it like Miami did the other day. So it matters. So think about this. If Miami would have gotten those 4 interceptions that they fumbled around, and maybe they only get 3 of them, maybe they only get 2 of them. Well, Mississippi doesn't score the points they score. We don't end up with a fourth quarter the way we ended up with. That game is closer to a rout than what than it is. So some teams are able to do this stuff and some teams aren't. And Indiana has the players and the attitude and stuff to be able to do that stuff. And it carries forward from game to game. So it's got to be in your handicap. And I think that it was interesting because, you and I've been talking about, okay, well, the forward line is, 4.5, 5, if they have to play Miami. Oh, Jesus Christ, it's 7.5. So, is that too much respect? Is that the right amount of respect? Well, first initial look at the chart, we looked at it, the wheel chart there. Indiana's got edges everywhere. So I haven't broken the game down. I won't break the game down for a little while. I'll let the line marinate just a little bit, and then I'll break it down and get a handicap line. But point being is I think Indiana's really good. I think people underestimate their defensive line because you don't know their names. Like Bain and whatever the other guy's name is for Miami, Enduar, whatever his name is. It's not that, but it's close. And those 2 guys are professional defensive linemen. Well, these guys for Indiana are really good. Indiana has 3 great linebackers that nobody talks about and how fast they are and how they get to the ball. I will say this. At the beginning of the game, I thought that Oregon found a way to move the ball by throwing into those linebackers, meaning I thought the linebackers played their zone coverages the way they should, but they were off the receiver 3-4 yards, and they caught the ball and they tackled them. Well, if you're going to do that, and you're going to give them 5, 6, 7, 8 yards a clip on those passes, and then they start moving up, and then you can throw over them. I think that might be a way to attack them. But all that being said, what a game for Indiana, and what a way to pay off the people in that stadium. I mean, that's down in Georgia, and it was all red. I mean, that whole stadium was red as red could be. I mean, I get it. Oregon's got to travel a long way, but my gosh, that was 90% red. You sit there and you look around like, holy crap, this is a home game for Indiana.
It was funny because unfortunately the game was over early. There was absolutely no doubt. And the funny part is, again, the look ahead line 5, 5.5 did open around 4, 4.5, and then at halftime went to 7, 7.5. That's where it's simmering. ECSI VIPs before the tournament started. Once we got the brackets, we had a plus 650 on Oregon. Yesterday, I said, if you would like, you can go grab Indiana to beat Miami at plus 125, at Circa at plus 120, at DraftKings. If you want to put 2 to 3 units on for a semi hedge, you can't obviously get those numbers now. I will say this, I'm having flashbacks. I didn't buy in most of the year on the LSU Joe Burrow team. I was in Vegas for the LSU Clemson game. I think by kickoff, you could have got Clemson plus 6, and that was with Trevor Lawrence. That was a couple years removed from the Deshaun Watson national championship team. And Clemson had the lead early, and then Joe came back, had the lead early, and then took the lead. Clemson battled back second half, all Joe Burrow, all Chase. I think Jefferson might have been there as well, too. And the rout began in the second half. You're spot on about Cignetti. And if you go back the last 2 years, he just steps on your throat. He doesn't care about the scoreboard. I mean, there was a lot of 50 burger pluses the last couple years. And the demeanor, I compared him to Bill Belichick, the attention of detail, the snarly look, never smiling, not happy until the game's over. And I think, now listen, being a diehard Nebraska fan, Scotty, I've seen Miami in the Orange Bowl, 14-point underdogs, knock off my Nebraska team when Irvin Fryer drops the winning touchdown. I've seen Schnellenbach and Miami 9-point underdogs beat my Nebraska team in this Orange Bowl. Can Miami win? The perfect game they can. Okay? Because don't forget, we always remember what we saw last. But I think with this Hoosier team right now and just how they're playing and the Cignetti factor, and it's going to be a lot of orange. This ticket to get is expensive. And there's going to be a lot of orange in there. It'd be interesting to see how much red's there. But honestly, I'm very happy with my 2 to 3 units on the Hoosiers plus 120 or 125 to win this game. But they're just an absolute freight train. We got 10, 11 days to break this down. But, unfortunately, the final statement that I'll say is the egg on their face, Dan Lanning, Oregon, can't win the big game. Everyone forgets how they got to the semifinals.
Yeah, I will say this. How does Miami play? Well, Miami plays like Indiana. They play exactly like Indiana. They like to run the ball. They got a decent quarterback. They got a big offensive line. They got a big defensive line. So they're a mirror image of Indiana. They're just not as efficient as Indiana. They're not as coached as well as Indiana. But they play the exact same style that Indiana plays. The problem that Miami's going to have is they ain't got no defensive backs. All them guys are hurt. The one kid got thrown out of the game for targeting. He's going to miss half the game, and the other guys are all hurt. So I don't know how they're going to defend the pass. So they're going to have to put pressure on the quarterback. And if you saw what Mississippi did, they took that away because they threw quick passes and other stuff and moved the pocket. I don't know that you're going to move the pocket for Mendoza, but my thoughts is that this is a mirror image of each other playing each other. So whereas, this was, 70, 80 points when I bet under 46, look at me go. And the reality is you might see 7-minute drives for both Miami and Indiana in this next game, and they might not be able to stop each other, but because of the length of the drives and the time eaten up off the clock, it may go under because of that. I'm just throwing out different thoughts. But the reality becomes then is, you just got to look at who do you trust and what's the efficiency models look like. And of course, that's exactly how I handicap these games. Everything's off of efficiencies and what teams are good at. So we'll see how it looks and sort of how it breaks down and comes out. But when you have one team that's more supreme at playing a certain way and they both play the same way, obviously that team's going to be where it needs to go. But I won't 100% be surprised if I don't take Miami in the points in this. I don't. I think Miami is good enough on offense. I just don't know what they can do, to slow down the where these guys are, because I thought Oregon's defense was going to be pretty good in this game, and I don't know that it wasn't. I just think that when you think, oh, they got 56 points. Well, they didn't get 56 points on the defense. They got balls at the 10-yard line and stuff, and just didn't have to do much to get in there. Block a punt, had the ball at the 2-yard line or 3-yard line. Block a punt. So all kinds of different things that happened positively in those aspects. In every shape, way, or form of that game, all went Indiana's way. And this is a team that doesn't turn the ball over. They're also a team that doesn't make penalties. And we saw what Miami did just last time. Now, it's interesting. Like they didn't. I think Miami, I think might have had one penalty against Ohio State, and then when they played Mississippi, they had 10 or 11. It's the consistency of how you play and what you do and all of those things. And Indiana's not going to be in that spot. They're not going to have to fight out of those deficits, but that's what Miami's going to need to do. They've got the advantage of being at home. They're comfortable there. They played there a whole bunch of times. I don't know that Indiana's ever played there, to be honest. I mean, that's my first time they ever been there. So it'll be interesting to see how it comes out and what happens. I don't think Indiana came out of this game banged up or hurt or any of that stuff. And I know Miami did. Miami came out of their game. Their secondary is in shambles. I'm not sure it was such a shambles as Oregon's running back room, but they're in shambles.
We'll get plenty of talk next week, and of course on the 19th Monday that game will kick off. We'll be talking the following day, Tuesday. We'll recap it. Again, I want everyone to remember what we saw last year under the window. Just let the line simmer. My gut tells me it'll probably be at least 8. If the Sharps love the 7 and a hook, because that's a key number, it's through 7. I would have woke up this morning to a 7 or a 6.5. So I think this is going to get pushed to the 8.5 number at least. But we'll see when that comes. But we're here to talk some NFL. 2 games today. Rams at Carolina, currently at the Circa. Good morning, Mr. Benson, Mr. Stevens. 10.5 for the 46. This is a rematch where I have to preface it this way. The Rams came into Carolina regular season off of a nice 3-game winning streak on a Thursday night at San Francisco. Then on a Sunday night, they beat Seattle. And then I think it was a Monday night, they beat the Bucks, and then they traveled cross country, 9.5-point favorites. I think Stafford threw 3 or 4 picks. They had 5 turnovers in all. And the midget number 2, I like to call him, Bryce Young and company, was able to score 30 points against this defense. How, I don't know. But again, 10.5 for the 46. And the nightcap, Green Bay, Chicago. And again, the spreadsheet I'm looking at says open to pick. Green Bay opened 1.5. We did see Chicago go to a 1.5. Now at the Circa, Green Bay 1.5 for the 45. A few weeks ago, Green Bay had that game easily won, and then late in the fourth quarter, the Bears come down, get a late touchdown, and then they get the onside kick. They tied the game, and then in overtime, I don't know, about a 52-53 yarder, Caleb Williams to DJ Moore for the outright win there. So those are the 2 games today. I'm going to give Scotty Sunday off so he doesn't have to come back. The 3 games on Sunday, Buffalo, Jacksonville, right now at the Circa, a pick'em with a 51.5. San Fran, Philly. This game's getting way the hell out of control here. This game opened up Philly 3.5 for the 46 at the Circa. Now Philly 6 with a 44.5. The night game, Chargers at New England. Right now New England 3.5 for the 45.5. and then we don't need to touch on the Monday game because we'll be back. Right now, Houston, Pittsburgh. Houston 3 minus 105. I don't think it will get to 2.5. Pittsburgh hasn't lost at home on a Monday night since 71 to 72. I think they've won 23 in a row with the 38, Scott.
Yeah. So interesting how I think these games are going to go. And, I'm not usually talking about NFL on here, so this is great to get a chance to talk about NFL. NFL, I'm doing really well, just like I was in college, and it's the same format. It's not always the same data. It's close, but it's not quite the same. One of the big differences that you have in the NFL is, look, these guys are all, they're all better than the college kids. They're just better. So they're the best of the best in the positions that they hold and all that stuff. So you gotta look at matchups, and you gotta look at coaches, and you gotta look at some other things to help you get where you need to go when you're betting the NFL. And so as you start to break these games down, the first one, well, let's just say it this way: I made one bet on Sunday, Saturday. I made one bet today. I made quite a few on Saturday, and I did make 2 bets on Monday. So I didn't bet this LA Rams and Panthers game. And I didn't bet it because there's no value in it, I don't think. The run, when I say the run, my AI comes back and it says, hey, this is 24-17 Rams. 24-17 tells you got to take the Panthers. But then on the back end of it, it's going to come out and it's going to say, this is what it says. This spread feels aggressive, given the prior upset that the Rams had against this team, and they struggle on the road. They're 4-5 away from home, and 7-1 at home. And we talked about that, Jeff. We talked about the Rams needed to be at home for this playoff run to be the best team in the NFL and to win all these games at home. Well, they're not, and not just lessens them 100%. Not 100%, but definitely lowers their capabilities. But then you go and say, however, the efficiency advantages, and then they get, Devontae Adams back and stuff's coming back for them. The line's probably pretty accurate, to be honest. It's probably pretty close. And I sit there and go, well, I don't think that I'm in a situation where there's any point in betting on this game if there's better edges elsewhere. So I don't want to spend a whole lot of time handicapping this game. I'd rather talk about the night game tonight, which is the Bears and the Packers, because I did bet this game. And just I'm trying to scroll it down to where it is. So to get it to where I think it's the right thing to do. There's a couple things. I don't know how many of you, and I know you've seen it, the Josh Applebaum tweets and the tweets from, I don't know, whoever else is out there. Well, you've got all these playoff series that have happened in years, and wild card series, and well, this home team is this and this against the spread on this, and when they're a dog of this many points, and they're this and this and this, and the unders are this and this, all that stuff. Look, I see people do this a lot. And I saw it again last night with one of our favorite people, Jeff. They just go. They can't help themselves but think that is a strategy to gamble with. And I'm just here to tell you, if you're going to bet trends, you're going to lose. In the long run, you're going to lose because the trends don't matter to this specific situation and spot. Sure, a trend can help you in your mind validate what you're looking at. But if you don't have, in the NFL in particular, if you don't have the game played out matchup wise, this team against this team and what they're good at versus what the other team's good at, you don't understand because they're different. And those trends don't incorporate a lot of different things that transpire from head coaching changes to offensive coordinators and all this stuff that changes the game of football. So anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is Don't allow those things to skew or mask where you're at with the actual quality of the team, because the teams can be really good and they can be really bad. So, for example, when I'm looking at, let me pull this over here. So you can't really see it. I mean, if I turn my screen like this, you can see my computer behind me. Well, that one screen that's the Chicago offense versus Green Bay, and then Green Bay's offense versus Chicago. So what's interesting here is when you think about those two teams, what do you think about with Chicago? Well, I think you think about they're a good offense, right? With the quarterback and scoring some points and doing different things. Well, in the last 7 weeks, they've been a pretty good offense. And what people don't really, I think, realize is, you know what Green Bay's defense looks like in the last 4 weeks? In the last 4 weeks, Green Bay ranks 28th on EPA per play, 30th in success rate. EPA per drive is 28th. Early down success is 31. Early down EPA is 31. Pass success is 28. They're like bottom end of the league in defense in the last 4 games. Now they're better than that throughout the season, but that tells you where Green Bay is. Green Bay has to score lots of points to win. This game is in Chicago. This is going to be windy. It's going to be cold. It's going to be, and how often has Jordan Love played in the last few weeks? I mean, he's been out. He's getting hurt, different things. I'm looking at this game in a different way. Sidewise, I think Chicago's going to give them everything they can, and be competitive in this game as any team can be. Do they win? I don't know if they win. I don't know if Green Bay wins. So I also think then that this is going to be a sort of slugfesty kind of game. I think what's going to end up happening, if I can slide this down, Green Bay has lots of advantages, but the when it comes down, you're going to have a 30-degree night, 55% chance of light snow and rain, winds at like 7, and I think you can see sort of a 23-20 kind of game, real tight, close game. I don't think this game gets into the 30s. Could I see one team kind of be in the teens, maybe? I mean, what if it was 20-17? Wouldn't surprise me. So I'm playing this game under the number. I think the numbers, when I bet it was 46.5. I think it's 45.5 now. I played it under, but and then full disclosure, this is the lowest amount of money bet wise I made on any of these playoff games. The games I bet bigger are on Saturday. Anyway, that's what I bet for today. I didn't bet anything in the first game. I think when you think about the first game, I think that, I don't like the Rams on the road, but I do like the Rams advantages that they have against Carolina. I like the fact that they get players back. I don't like the idea that it's supposed to be sprinkly, rainy, whatever up there. So I don't like any of that. So I'm not very comfortable with betting on the Rams to cover, and I'm not very comfortable betting on Carolina to cover. If I had to pick one, I'd pick Carolina. And in the other game, I don't know who's going to win. I just don't think I think it's going to be a competitive game where, God, I hope they don't go into overtime like they did before. But I'm going to play the under. Well, I bet it. I bet it 46.5, and now it's 45.5. So that's today. And I can quickly go over tomorrow if you like.
Sure. Go on this.
So tomorrow's games, it's interesting. I made big bets on Saturday's games, but I didn't bet Sunday's game. Sorry. But I didn't bet Jacksonville Buffalo at all. I didn't bet that game. I think, that's the game you see a line flip, right? I mean, wasn't Buffalo the favorite for a while? Now Jacksonville's the favorite.
Buffalo opens 1.5. There were some Jacksonville ones. It's a pick across the board. Superbook has Jacksonville -1. DraftKings Jacksonville -1.5. Currently, I'll use Pinnacle -109. Jacksonville.
So Buffalo, we all know, has Superman quarterback. Their offense is pretty good. They can run the football. In the last 4 weeks, they ranked 6th in EPA. Success rate, they ranked 3rd. EPA per drive is 5th. Early down success is 4th. And early down EPA is 4th. But I don't think people realize how good Jacksonville's defense is. In the last 4 weeks, EPA is 2nd on defense. 6th against success rate, 3rd against EPA per drive, which matches up. That matches up to stop Buffalo. And on the other end, the Jacksonville offense in the last 5 weeks, they ranked 5th against the 11th ranked Buffalo defense. So, and this game is in Jacksonville. So that doesn't give, if it was in Buffalo, that's a huge edge for them. But it's not. So it's in Jacksonville. So I think it's a toss-up game. I can't tell you who's going to win. My computer says 28-27 Buffalo. That's what it says, 28-27 Buffalo. And I'm like, holy shit. Whatever. So theoretically, it likes the over in that game. It's like, I think it should go over the number. And, I did whatever. I don't know the advantages there, but I can tell you the next game has huge edges. And we've talked about this, or I talked about this a couple weeks back. I think Philadelphia Eagles, you should be betting them to win the NFC is what I think. And I think the San Francisco 49ers are banged up, they're beat up, and they're going to have to go play in this cold weather environment. And we've seen them do that before, and it doesn't necessarily roll well for them. That their offense is made up of CMC, right, the running back, and the tight end, they don't have necessarily a whole bunch of playmakers at wide receiver anymore. So in Philadelphia's defense, and if I can get to this, Philadelphia's defense in the last 4 weeks, fourth EPA overall, success rate 5th, EPA per drive 4th. They're right here. It's this column, and we can't see it. It's this column. It's this column right here. It's almost virtually all green. They're playing the stellar defense at the time they need to play the stellar defense, and with the limits that San Francisco has on offense, and the banged up offensive line, and the banged up defensive line, and the linebackers out, and the things that are going on with that team, this is just sort of a mismatch. And I don't mean it in a sense that it's a blowout. That's not what I'm suggesting. But I'm suggesting that it's a spot where when you talk about kind of coming in with what to expect, again, it's cold weather. It's I got to get down here to where I fixed this stuff. I think that we're looking at high confidence. Now, the number was 4.5 when I bet it. It's 6 now. That was the second highest confidence level bet. And when I say confidence level, the AI computer goes and takes this data and runs its formulas and does things and comes out with a predicted score and runs it 10,000 times. And then it says, hey, look, here's the result. And confidence level suggests that 75% of the time, I think I wrote it down over here. This one is Philadelphia. It's 80. 80% of the time, they're going to cover 4.5. So that's a good bet. There's one better, but that's a good bet. So I went out and I put the second most money that I bet on Philadelphia in that spot to cover that number. Then the game that follows that, right? That's the New England game, right?
Yeah, Chargers, New England right now 3.5 with a 45.5.
So how many of you know who the number one offense is in NFL over the last 4 weeks?
The Patriots.
By far, they are number one in EPA, number one in success rate, number one in early down success. I mean, number one, not number two, number one. And if you can see my computer, it's this line right here. And then that's the line year to date. That's a consistency showing how good this team is. And then I saw somebody say, well, they haven't played a defense like the Chargers. Well, what do you mean? The Chargers in the last 4 weeks are seventh. You don't think they've played a good defense? I mean, I know that they've played, some of these teams that aren't very good, but the reality is they've played. This is all average stuff. There's a couple things that are good in there, like they can stop the run pretty well. They don't stop the pass that well. So there's major advantages there. And then look on the other side of the ball. When you look at offense for the Chargers, they're 24th in EPA. They are 23rd in success rate, 24th in EPA per drive, 24th in early down success. That's not going to beat New England in the cold. It's not. So this game turns into the best bet of the weekend. I bet New England minus the 3.5 as the highest bet amount of money that I put on a game. This is it. And then, but I also bet it under the number because I do think that San Diego. I do think that the Chargers do play some defense and they don't play much offense. So I don't think there's going to be a big score in this game. So I played that game under in that retrospect. So my bets so far for the week were New England minus 3.5, Philly minus 4.5. I know it's minus 6 now, and to be honest, if you bet them minus 6, just cut your units back. I don't think that's a lot. Houston, well, we haven't got there yet. I bet the New England and Chargers game under 46.5. And I bet the Bears and the Packers under 45.5. Those are what I bet this football playoff. And the only two bets, there's two more bets that we can deal with for Monday, but that's kind of how I see these games. Theoretically, I can answer any questions or break them down further if people want, but that's just the overall big picture of what I did.
I talked for a while now. I think there's two real intriguing games which set up the brackets. And again, the brackets are out there, guys. The NFL reseeds. So in other words, it's not set the brackets and whoever wins moves on and they stay on that same line. And I'll start in the AFC, being that the Bills are a 6 seed. They control so much of the AFC, meaning this. If Jacksonville beats Buffalo, then the winner of Pittsburgh-Houston goes to Denver. But if Buffalo wins in Jacksonville, they automatically go to Denver. Now that sets up Patriots-Chargers / Jacksonville. And Patriots-Chargers, Jacksonville, Houston, Pittsburgh. So why am I having a brain fart here? Buffalo beats Jacksonville. Buffalo goes to Denver. Patriots win against the Chargers. They then host Pittsburgh or the Texans. So I talk out loud here, the Denver futures, because here's why I talk out loud. If you think Jacksonville is going to beat Buffalo, it's a coin flip. It's a coin flip. If you think Jacksonville's going to beat Buffalo, well, in my eyes, that opens up the Denver side. Now, listen, I believe in this Texans team. I believe the Texans are going to beat Houston. I believe if the Texans got to go to Denver, they can cause enough problems there where the first one to 20 wins that game. I wouldn't be shocked if the Texans went into Denver and won. Now, again, I could get egg in my face because they don't get by Monday night's game. But all bets are off in regards to Buffalo wins. They automatically go to Denver. If the Patriots beat the Chargers, then they host the Steelers or the Texans. Now, if the Steelers win, it's a rematch from week 3, I think, where the Patriots turned the ball over 5 times, should have beaten the Steelers, but lost. That was their 2 losses in September. Opening day to the Raiders, and then week 3 to the Steelers. But if the Texans come in to New England, again, with their defense, with their defensive line, I think they can pose some problems also on the Patriots side. Now, when we go out west, again, we're assuming the Rams are going to win. But the Packers-Bears game, in my eyes, controls the most here. Because if the Packers beat the Bears, they go to Seattle. They go to Seattle. We assume the Rams win. And I think the whole world assumes Philly wins. Now the Rams got to travel to Philly. Okay? But again, if the Bears beat the Packers, Philly wins and the Rams win. The Rams now got to go to Seattle. Philly travels to Chicago. And if the Rams beat Seattle and the Eagles beat the Bears, we're back to Philly hosting the Rams in the NFC title game, Scotty.
Yeah, so in the AFC, talking about the AFC, I think Houston, well, I mean, giving things away, I think Houston's going to win the game against Pittsburgh. So then that means in my world, so to speak, I don't know if Houston's going to go then to New England or not, based off of what happens in the Buffalo-Jacksonville game. Let's just say Jacksonville wins only because they're the lower seed for now. So if Jacksonville wins, that means Jacksonville's going to go play New England, and then Houston's going to go play Denver. And I think that would be, quote, the worst, right, for Houston. I mean, they got to go play the number 1 seed. But Houston matches up there. Houston's not going to be afraid of, the offense that Denver throws out there. And to be quite honest with you, I think that Denver's got a good defense. It's not Houston's defense. So if Houston can find a way to do certain things, they can win that game against the number 1 seed. So I think when you think about number 1 seeds, in my mind, I think Denver's the most beatable number 1 seed. So between them and Seattle. Now that said, it's going to require discipline to beat that team. I think Denver's a disciplined team. I just don't think they necessarily are the greatest bunch of talent on offense. So then I think the biggest wrinkle in the AFC, the biggest wrinkle is Buffalo. Buffalo's experienced. Buffalo has guys that have been there. They've done that. They've done, and if they got the quarterback that can do amazing things above all these other quarterbacks. So if Buffalo goes on a run and Buffalo starts beating these teams, they're the team in my mind that sort of says, okay, you need to knock them out first, get them out of the way. So everybody's praying for Jacksonville to knock them out of the way. It's because then that opens the gate to whoever's going to win that thing. And To be honest, I think New England has every opportunity to win if that whole bracket. So in the NFC, that I just think money value wise, you can get the Philadelphia Eagles plus 440, plus 450, whatever it is, to win the NFC. Not the Super Bowl, none of that stuff. Just win the NFC because they have a path that's actually pretty damn favorable. And I don't think the Bears are getting a lot of credit for being the Bears and being, what are they? They're the number 2 seed, right? I don't think they're getting a whole lot of credit for being the number 2 seed. They're playing the number 7 seed and they're an underdog at home. So now maybe they deserve to be. Well, if they deserve to be, then that means that Philadelphia is a better team than the Bears. So if the Bears then have to play Philadelphia, why can't Philadelphia beat them? Well, they can. And then if it comes all the way down to it, and you got to have Philadelphia against Seattle, I don't mind that matchup for Philadelphia. I don't think Philadelphia is going to be in a spot where they look across the line of scrimmage and go, "Oh my God, this team's better than us." I don't think that's going to happen. Now that said, they might get beat. I was pretty surprised at some of the things I heard from Jalen Hurts the last couple of days. He was talking about, somebody asked him a question about, do you feel more fresh because you didn't run the ball a whole lot this year compared to last year? He goes, that ain't my fault. That's just the way that the offensive coordinator called the plays this year. Well, maybe that means, hey, look, we can do a lot more. We were a lot better when I was running around doing some of this stuff and putting more pressure on these defenses and get some more guys open and do some different. Their defense, Jeff, Philadelphia, is playing almost as good as any of these defenses. So that's been one of the biggest things that have been setting them back is they couldn't stop enough people, and their offense wasn't clicking. Well, if they can get their offense a little bit clicking, I like the Seahawks. Don't get me wrong. I really like the Seahawks defense. I like them like I like Houston's defense. And I like the Seahawks offense better than I like Houston's offense. But if you think about what Philadelphia has and what Seattle has, they got way more weapons on offense, and they just got to unleash them. And their defense hasn't played as good as what Philadelphia or Seattle has all season. But it's a turnover here, a turnover there, it's different things. I think Philadelphia has every opportunity to get there. Do they get there? I don't know. I think Seattle is a good football team, but at the same time, I say that, I think the Rams are still a good football team, but they got such a tough way to go to get there. That means the Rams are going to have to go out and play Seattle, and I don't think Seattle wants to play the Rams again. I really don't. I mean, I think they can beat them, but my God, those games that they played, they weren't winning. It took a miracle comeback into that weird, what was it, a Thursday night game, I think it was, where they came back from, being 2 scores, 3 scores behind to actually win at home against the Rams. So I don't know. I just think my opinion is it's Philadelphia for me in the NFC to get to where they have an opportunity, and money value wise, I don't think you can get much better than that. Otherwise, you're playing these favorites, and I don't think Seattle's a good enough favorite to lay the money on. They're not minus. I think they're still plus. So, whatever, it's plus 1 something. I don't want to bet plus 1 something. I can get 440, and it's just they might have a smaller, tougher path. But at the same time, think about Seattle's path. You're the number 1 seed, and you're waiting on a game, and it's quite possible that your first game is the Rams. That would be awful for Seattle to be in that spot, right? In my opinion, that would be a terrible thing for Seattle to be sitting there, and their first game they have to play is against the Rams. So whereas the very first game on the other side, Denver will play Houston, and the difference.
Or no, your same scenario is spot on here because how about you have to say the same thing. If you think Seattle, unfortunately, could face the Rams, how about Denver with a week off having to face Josh Allen?
Exactly. Same type of a problem. If Buffalo goes, I guarantee you this. If Buffalo goes and has to go play Denver, Buffalo's the favorite, not Denver. Buffalo will be favored in Denver against Denver. They will. No,
In my scenario with the Eagles, and I said this at plus 600, I think the number was, and then people are using the same thought process is why you're getting 4 or 450 now, because the best case scenario in my eyes for for the Eagles is simple: win, beat San Francisco, okay, root for the Bears. Philly will be favored in Chicago.
yes.
Then Seattle and the Rams, Philly then becomes Rams fans because if the Rams upset Seattle, which we've seen Rams at Seattle as a pick, Rams -1, Seattle -1, so it depends on how each team looks or the Rams look. But the point is, if the Rams go into Seattle and upset Seattle,
Rams got to go
Eagles
play Philadelphia.
Eagles
In
with Chicago.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, and we've seen this a year ago, and the Eagles will be favored by 2.5 or 3.
Exactly. So I think that's a perfect avenue for them. Sets up great for them. And I don't think it's been a benefit for these number one seeds this year to for who they're going to end up having to play and how it all shakes out and all that stuff. Sure, that would have been great for them to have. It's great for them to have that week off and stuff, but I don't think Denver's all banged up, and to be honest, I don't think Seattle's all banged up. So certainly you get that week of rest, but um, they got to play some difficult stuff here coming up. I mean, if Denver's got to play Buffalo, that's a problem, and that's a problem. So because in the NFL you got to score points. You got to score points, and Denver is a team that doesn't score a lot of points. They just don't. I mean, Bo Nix is Bo Nix. I mean, and I say that in a sense that he's not out there turning the ball over, so that's a good thing. But at the same time, he's not out there, putting the team on your back and driving the ball, 60 yards, 5 times a game. He doesn't do that. He might do that once. So your defense has to put him in positions to be effective and win, and then they got to make sure their field goal kicker's got his leg all loosened up so he can make field goals. So that's not going to be Buffalo. Buffalo's going to go out and score touchdowns.
It's going to be interesting. I want to thank everyone for coming on a Saturday. If you haven't already, jump on over to YouTube at East Coast Sports Investor. Subscribe. It's free as we get closer to 12,000 subscriptions there. Then come on back to Twitter, X, whatever we're calling it today. Go follow myself at EC Sports Investor, and of course Scotty at Webby20MLB. Myself and Scotty will be back on Monday, 9:15, 9:30 for the recap. We'll go over WildCard Weekend. We'll talk about the matchup on Monday. Houston at Pittsburgh. Currently Houston -3 and with a 38 there. So it's been a great week here as always. Thanks to PB. Thanks to Mr. Lucky, Dr. Lance, everyone that have been supporting us for year number 11. Believe it or not, it's year number 11. A nice 41 degrees, Scotty, here on Cape Cod. Might have to get the shorts out again.
Hey, I got mine on.
From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, one and only Mr. Scotty Webb at Webby20MLB. Wish everyone a blessed day. Guys, remember it's the weekend. The college football season has one game left. The NFL season starts today. Take a look at some futures. We talked about Philly to win the NFC. The NFL in the AFC, again, if you believe in the Bills, take a shot at them to win the AFC. If you think the Chargers are going to win, well, then you got to decide, am I going to stick with Denver Do I like the Pats? Can someone pick Denver off like the Texans? I think they can. I like the Texans on Monday. I think they then go potentially to Denver and upset them. I think if the Texans had to go to New England, I think that would be a close claim as well. So a lot to talk about. Come on back on Monday around 9:15, 9:30, and we'll see you soon.